Hey, good day, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Andrew's Life. Hope everyone's having a blessed day. I know I can't complain. I'm spending a little bit of time up here in Indiana taking care of some business, visiting some friends and enjoying some of this early fall weather up here in Indiana. I mean, it's not, you know, it's nice to be out of the deep south for a little bit because down in Alabama, it's still summertime. Seems like down there it's summertime for 8 to 9 months out the year. As we're up here in Indiana right now, I'm recording this video in September. There's like a couple of days left before the 1st of October. And right now, the weather is beautiful. It's been sunny all week. And the temperature highs have been in the low 70s. And the temperature lows have dipped in the upper 40s. As we're in Alabama, I had to run the air conditioning. Here in Indiana, I'm actually running the furnace at night. So it's quite a bit of a climate change up here in Indiana versus Alabama. But I'm enjoying it up here. I'm enjoying the cooler weather. I'm enjoying watching the trees turn colors and all that type of stuff. Anyhow, I'm pretty sure that there's some of you out here that live by the Gulf that are prepping for the hurricane that might hit your area at some point. Fortunately, I do not live by the Gulf, so I do not have those issues. I'm prepping for something a little different. And to be quite frank, what I'm prepping for is something that everybody ought to be prepping for. Now, I'm pretty sure some of you realize that we are currently in the midst of a recession. Many of you may not realize that we're in a recession. But let me for those of you that have never had to deal with a recession, just to put it all in a nutshell, if this recession gets worse, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be losing their jobs. There's going to be a lot of you that will be unemployed or underemployed. There's going to be many people that will be unable to take care of their basic financial obligations. And that's a very bad position to be in. I've been in that position myself during the last recession, to where money got so bad that I couldn't even afford to feed myself. I had to go to the local Salvation Army to get my groceries. So, and then there was even a short time that I had to live out of my car until I was able to find me a job to where I made enough money to be able to afford rent for an apartment. So, to make a long story short, I do not care to repeat that part of my life ever again. So I'm doing everything this time around to make sure that does not happen. Now, before, I was out here doing gig work. I was doing DoorDash, Uber, Instacart. Recently, I chose to swallow a little bit of my pride and to go out here and get me a regular 9-to-5 job, which I will be starting within a couple of days here. Now, the work that I'm going to be doing is nothing fancy, it's nothing special, it's just a regular, typical blue-collar job. Now, I honestly, this was honestly, the more I got to thinking about the recession, the more I got to thinking that if this recession gets worse, chances are, uh, the money I may the money I've been making doing gig work is gonna eventually go away because there's gonna be other people wanting to join the gig economy because they're gonna lose their job, and that means there's gonna be less work available. And B, for those of you that have done gig work before, you know that some of these companies love to play games. They love to play with your money. They love to do a lot of tip baiting and crap like that. And I don't got time for that type of crap. So just to protect myself financially, I chose to go ahead and go back to a regular 9 to 5 for the time being. Because at this point, I don't make enough money on this channel to where I can focus on this channel full time. Now, ultimately, my goal is to be a full-time YouTuber, but for now, I don't make enough money to do that. I gotta still work a regular job so I can make enough money to pay the bills and to put money away into my retirement. And there's some side hustle ideas that I got, which of course, they're gonna require money for me to realize those ideas. And B, even when I do realize those ideas, I'm gonna need to sit back and see how all that does. So I don't want to be irresponsible and continue to do gig work, and then this recession gets worse, and I wake up one day, and all of a sudden I'm not making no money at all. Now, for those that know about gig work, with these gig apps, you work for yourself, which means if you do DoorDash for 8 hours and you don't make no money, you just don't make no money. There's not going to be no unemployment compensation that's going to be waiting for you because you're not going to qualify for it because you work for yourself. So for those of you that are currently doing gig work and you don't have a whole lot of money set aside in savings, you don't have deep pockets, maybe you got a substantial amount of debt that you got to take care of, maybe you got a lot of bills you got to pay on a monthly basis. If I were you, you might want to go out here and look for some kind of a regular 9 to 5. I mean, I know it's something that you're not going to want to do. You're not going to want to give up your gig work because you don't want to give up your free time. You don't want to give up your flexibility to be able to travel and visit family and friends and all that good stuff. I get it. I understand. I feel the same way. But I would hate for you guys to be out here and be caught with your pants down and not have your money right. I would hate for you guys to be doing DoorDash or something. You out here working 8-10 hours and you may come home and you might only make $20. And then the next thing you know, you ain't got money to pay your bills and now all your utilities are being cut off and you might be facing eviction or foreclosure. Your car might be getting repoed because you simply don't got the money to satisfy your financial obligations. So to protect myself from being in a position that I was in during the last recession, I've decided to swallow a little bit of my pride and go back and work a 9 to 5. Cause my attitude is this 9 to 5 stuff I'm doing is not going to be forever. It's not going to be for the rest of my life. It's just going to be for the time being to at least see myself through this recession that I hope it doesn't get worse, but just the way things are looking, I think it will get worse. And I just want to protect myself the best I can. I mean, I do got a little bit of money set aside in savings and all that good stuff, but I don't feel I have enough to where I can opt out of working. So, that's where I'm at. And I have a house here in Indiana, which I'm going to put on the market and sell in the very near future. I was going to keep this house and rent it out, but I'm not going to do that because, as some of you might realize, during the pandemic, there were a lot of landlords that lost a lot of money because they were forced by the government to let people live in their home for free, basically. Now, although those days have came and went, I'm going to be completely honest. My fear is there's always a possibility that those days can come right back. Like I'm just speculating at this point, but I wouldn't be surprised if one day I woke up and I cut on social media and they declare this if this recession got any worse, they declare this recession a emergency. A emergency meaning that landlords are not going to be able to evict their tenant due to non-payment of rent. Pretty much what went on, pretty much the same stuff that went on during the pandemic. And again, I'm speculating. Now, I'm a firm believer that if you're going to be a landlord, you should have some fairly deep pockets. You should have a substantial amount of money already for all the things that could potentially go wrong as a landlord. Like your tenant decides not to pay rent. And then on top of that, they decide to trash your property. So not only are they holding your property hostage for several months, but while they're holding it hostage, they're also trashing it. And then by the time you get your property back, either A, you're going to have to spend tens and thousands of dollars doing renovations, or B, you're going to lose that amount of money when you go to sell that property. Because maybe you may not want to fix it up. Maybe you may not have the funds to fix it up. And my thing is, this house that I have here in Indiana is located in a Class C neighborhood. It's in a Class C neighborhood. The area is not a bad place. It's safe, it's quiet, all that wonderful stuff. However, given that we're in the midst of a recession, and I believe that the recession is going to most likely get worse before it gets better, I don't want to sit around and be taking chances of deciding to become a landlord right now. And then whoever I have live in this house, they decide for whatever reason that they're not going to pay rent. And even if my crazy idea doesn't come to reality, which I hope it don't, but assuming that it doesn't, if I go through the regular eviction process here in Indiana, from the day that I filed the paperwork to the day that I actually have the bailiffs and the sheriff and everybody at the door getting the tenant up out this house. I could be waiting anywhere from 3 to 6 months before that happens. And during that time frame, the person who will basically be holding my house hostage will have the opportunity to do substantial damage to my house, which will cost me substantial amounts of money to either A, fix the damage, or B, I'll be losing that money when I go to sell the house. And my thing is, I don't want that kind of headache. I do not want that kind of headache. I just don't like the idea of anyone having the power to hold something that I worked hard for hostage like that and then potentially destroying it and not paying me my money. I mean, could things go well for me? Of course they can. But, you know, I don't feel I'm in a position at this point to take that type of risk. And not to mention, if I filed an eviction, obviously I got to pay to file the case. I got to pay more money on top of that to hire the bailiff to come over to the house and to get the people out of the house. I got to pay for all that. I mean, so when I look at all the money that I got to pay to have somebody evicted, and then when I take into consideration the amount of time that it's going to take for me to break even on my investments, and also when I take into consideration some of the stuff that could potentially break that I might have to fix that may not even be at the fault of me or the tenant. It might just be that certain stuff in the house is old, so it goes bad, it malfunctions, and then as a landlord, it's my responsibility to repair that. So taking all that into consideration, that's a huge responsibility that I don't want. And I feel for me, the financial return that I might get being a landlord is not going to be worth the trouble that I would have to go through being a landlord. Now, there's some of you that might disagree. You might disagree because you've watched other YouTubers that glorify being a landlord. And they talking all this talk about how they're making this and that money, this and that and the third. And there's a lot of landlords out here that are using debt to leverage their wealth. Me, I don't believe in using debt to leverage my wealth. The money I have is the money I have. I don't use debt. I've been in debt before. I've filed bankruptcy before. And I've been through some hard times financially before in my life, and I do not desire to repeat that part of my life again. So for me, I don't think being a landlord is going to be in my best interest financially. All right, folks, this video is getting long. I'm over 18 minutes. I just wanted to make this video just to warn you folks about the recession. For those of you that don't know that there is a recession. And I also wanted you guys to at least think, at least in the back of your head, of how you're going to prepare for when this recession gets worse. If it does get worse, hopefully it doesn't, but I think it will. And if it does, I just want you guys to at least think in the back of your head of how you're going to prepare for this recession. So on that note, I'm going to click off here. Everybody have a blessed one. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Andrew's Life.